initiative, which was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. On January 16, 2016. The initiative brought a sharp focus for startups, and it also catalyzed the Indian startup ecosystem to provide an innovative solution and for the local and as well as global needs. In the last 5 years, India has become the fastest growing ecosystem in the world, and with the presence of over 30 unicorns, out of which 9 have emerged from in 2020 itself. The summit, which aims to bring an exhibition of showing exemplary startups from various sectors, agri-tech, etc. Prarambh is being hosted jointly with DPIIT and Startup India. I will now request Mr. Martin to deliver his address.
Good morning here to my colleagues in Canada, and good evening to those joining us from abroad. Thank you. My name is Martin Vro. I've been involved in the innovation ecosystem for quite a few years now, and actually got my start in the private sector doing industrial manufacturing, primarily in the cement industry, where I started my career out of university. Finishing 23 years in the cement industry. I started as a process chemical engineer in the cement industry, and also running a quality control laboratory, which got me heavily involved in new innovations at that time. This going back to the early 90s, and where I would develop, I did a lot of software development and helping do laboratory information management systems for the cement industry. And then that led me into statistical process control, and eventually, you know, through as all these big cement industries got themselves merged together, it found me moving to England under the company Blue Circle Industries, a very large British multinational cement manufacturer. And there I was working on developing process information management systems. And through further, consolidation of the cement sector, that company was acquired by the biggest now cement company in the world, Lafarge. And I moved to France at that time to work on advanced statistical process control systems, and started working in early artificial intelligence doing predictive process control. And we actually developed a software algorithm that could predict the quality of the cement being manufactured roughly about 45 minutes before the cement was actually made, and about 2 hours before the laboratory would get a conventional test back to confirm the results of the predictive analysis. And this is very early, industrial use of artificial intelligence. This is going back to maybe nearly 20 years ago now. That then found, I ended up moving back to Canada, where I'm originally from, and started doing some work in the environmental space, because in the cement industry, anything that has to do with cost controls is going to typically be a reduction in fuel or a reduction in energy consumption. And as a result, just with the nature of that heavy industry, results in environmental benefit. So I also started exploring with my first foray into innovation, and that was working with a startup company called Pond Technologies, growing algae from smokestack gases. That allowed us to look at the possibility to grow high value products using CO2 from the smokestack as a feedstock. And Pond Technologies is now generating revenue from producing algae from the smokestack gases and selling that into pharmaceutical and nutraceutical markets. Some other firsts that I got involved with there was getting things like selective non-catalytic reduction as a first in North America in the cement manufacturing sector. Spearheading the ISO 50001 energy management system, and we achieved the first ISO 50001 certification in North America, the first cement plant globally, and the third facility worldwide to achieve that status. and also became the first cement plant to be permitted for the first full-time use of wood and biomass as an alternative fuel to utilizing coal as a primary fuel. Through that and through changes in government policy and with the implementation of an Ontario cap and trade program on greenhouse gas, I found myself leaving the cement industry and spearheading the Ontario Centres of Excellence, Greenhouse Gas Reduction, and Clean Tech Innovation programs. The Ontario Centres of Excellence is a arm's length government organization that helps to fund startups and innovation in the province of Ontario. And I'll get into how these sorts of things, these types of organizations can really help the startup sector. Eventually, since about 2018, I've been working on my own as both a consultant and an entrepreneur, where right now I'm helping to build 4 different startup companies. One company is interestingly branching off into 2 subsidiaries now, where we're looking at making building materials from recycled waste plastics from industrial manufacturing. And we're also going to be making hydrogen gas by depolymerizing the plastics and splitting them into hydrogen sulfide, which is then molecularly split, and carbon black, which can be sold for making things like polyurethane foam and things like automotive tires. Another company, Universal Matter, I do some consulting with and business development on, and that's looking at the addition of flash graphene as thin as 4 molecular layers thick to produce high strength concrete, where it's been shown to increase concrete strengths by over 20%, which would decrease cement emissions by 20%. So that's a fantastic opportunity, again, in the innovation space. But what makes innovation so interesting are the opportunities that await those looking to do their innovations in Ontario. So if I could share my screen here for one moment, I will just do that. One moment. Okay, so certainly in Ontario, the opportunities exist for looking for talent, and the labor markets in Ontario are very well educated. We have 68% of Ontario adults have a post-secondary education, and 5 globally renowned universities in the top 300 are here located in Ontario. The high quality talent, there's over 42,000 STEM graduates produced annually in the province of Ontario. And Toronto specifically is the 3rd top ranked talent market in North America. Access to global talent through immigration, it takes 10 business days for a work permit processing for highly skilled talent. Oh, hold on a second. I'm hearing that my slides are not coming through properly. I will retailer that a little bit. Hopefully this improves that. Okay. Hopefully that works. Is that coming through now well?
We can't see it properly.
Okay, let me try sharing the entire screen. One second. I'll unshare here and share the entire screen. One second. Okay, is that any better?
Yes.
Okay, great. My apologies for that. Okay, interestingly enough, wishing this was around when I was doing artificial intelligence overseas in France back almost 20 years ago, but the artificial intelligence community in Ontario is developing very quickly. There are over 300 artificial intelligence startups in Ontario, which everything from fintech to autonomous vehicles to just simply manufacturing and data management. We have retail utilization, healthcare, the legal system, law systems are looking at artificial intelligence to make law systems more transparent and accessible, and being able to access all of the thousands and thousands of documents that are available. Cybersecurity and looking at how AI can increase machine learning on big data to improve cybersecurity. The financial institutions in Ontario are also focused in on their own innovation centers, where banks like RBC, CIBC, Scotiabank, world-renowned banks like TD, all have their own emerging labs for incubating fintech and various technologies in AI. Ontario is very much open for business. There are many programs that help in Ontario. You can get customized business intelligence, tailored insights on what you need specifically for your organization coming to Ontario. Investment-specific assessments, partnerships can be helped to be found to help you find the right partnerships and customers going forward. The Customized Ontario tours to help you to find out where you want to operate your business so you can understand what sort of labor markets are available to you, skill sets, and where you would like people to come to Ontario to actually live and to have a lifestyle outside of work. Professional services, there's many opportunities to meet investors and legal expertise, real estate and banking and tax and various other public relations and marketing type services. Ontario is home to top financial institutions, so the big five banks like TD, BMO, Royal Bank, and others. There are other banks, large institutional investors like Manulife, Sun Life Financial, for example. These all provide excellent financial opportunities to either work with or to seek financial assistance from. The automotive supplier base, whether it's directly manufacturing parts for you for the automotive sector or for other sectors where many of these companies like Magna and Linamar, for example, just to name a couple, manufacture parts for various types of pieces of equipment, not just the automotive sector. There are over 700 plus part suppliers and over 500 tool and die mold facilities in Ontario. The information communication technology ecosystem is also very large in Ontario, with major names that people would know, like Shopify, for example, all coming from Ontario. BlackBerry, OpenText, all based here in Ontario as well. So the opportunities to work with these types of companies or to utilize the services that are here are outstanding numbers of opportunities. Ontario's automotive industry is one of the biggest industries in Ontario and in Canada. It's the #2 North American vehicle production facility with over 2 million units assembled annually. You have General Motors, Toyota, Fiat Chrysler, Ford, and Honda, all based in Southern Ontario within a 3 to 4 hour drive from each other. So the parts manufacturers, autonomous controlled vehicles, artificial intelligence, all of these are very much coming together in these types of sectors. Ontario is also very strategically located. If you look at its proximity to major urban centers like Chicago, Detroit, Boston, New York City, Washington, D.C., it's the 7th largest subnational economy in North America by GDP, with 39% of the country's population in GDP. The population of Southern Ontario is about 12 million, with the province being over 14 million people and over 200 languages spoken, and connected to over 175 international destinations with connections by rail, water, and very intricate highway systems. It's a stable and competitive business environment here in Ontario, and Canada has the world's 2nd soundest banking system and the 2nd most politically stable country in the world after Norway, Finland, and Sweden, who are tied for 1st. The business costs are very low, with a combined income tax rate at 25% and competitive federal combined and provincial corporate income tax rate at 26.5%. The business costs are therefore very low, and quality of life is excellent, with Toronto and Ottawa ranked among the top 20 cities in the world for great quality of life. So I'll leave here on this slide showing that Ontario is indeed open for business in very diverse array of businesses and opportunities in automotive, chemicals, environmental, and all the others that you see here. I hope you'll get a chance to read it. I know I skipped through things very quickly on a very tight schedule here, but I hope I just whet your appetite into learning more about Ontario. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll turn it over now again. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Thanks for your presentation, insightful presentation on the business opportunities. I will now like to request Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, founder, HCL, and chairman, FICCI Startup Committee, to deliver his address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to welcome you all for this meeting today for Prarambh, the Startup India International Summit. The prime aim of today's roadshow is to sensitize the startup ecosystem players from Canada about the summit that is going to be held on 15th and 16th of January. And it is being organized by India's Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Prarambh, as the name suggests, is fundamentally talks about the beginning. And this is being organized to mark the 5th anniversary of Startup India Initiative. The Startup India Initiative has provided huge impetus to the startup ecosystems of India. Today, India is the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world, with startups contributing immensely to the innovation-driven growth of the Indian economy. India is also home to 30+ unicorns. And interestingly, 11 of these unicorns became unicorns during the pandemic period in 2020. In line with our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of one startup in every area, which is really called a district in India, India now has more than 40,884 startups recognized across these 586 areas and districts, and 28 states of India and 8 union territories. Startup India has been successful in igniting the minds of young innovators and entrepreneurs across the country. The current median age of founder entrepreneurs is around 31 years. These startups have also come from more than 48 different sectors of the industry. The Indian startup ecosystem has seen substantial growth, not only in the big cities, the metros, but across the length and breadth of the country. Of the 40,000 odd recognized startups, 55% come from tier 1 cities, while interestingly, 45% come from tier 2, tier 3 cities. And all the states in the country, most of them have very, very aggressive startup policies to nurture and scale startups. In addition to creating a policy-led enabling ecosystem, we've also worked hard to create a market for our entrepreneurs. So the government also has created what is called a government e-marketplace, and various startups can actually get onto that and sell their products and services to different parts of the government and the large government-owned companies called public sector undertakings. The COVID-19 pandemic has exponentially increased the importance of entrepreneurship and innovation. Entrepreneurship is an adaptive wild card in the complex, emerging, and uncertain post-COVID-19 world. How entrepreneurs seize new opportunities and take risks increases the range of options available to the world as it navigates through these precarious times. One of the greatest examples is that today, from being a huge importer, India has become the second largest personal protection equipment manufacturer, with this industry being a $900 million industry, producing 450,000 units daily. The smartest and the toughest will survive and come out strongly in the post-COVID world. Many Indian startups have been able to modify their business plans. A lot of them actually pivoted during this whole period. And these startups saw an opportunity in the times of COVID. Startups actually went about developing innovative solutions in response to the pandemic. And all kinds of products, from sanitizers, tracing apps, low-cost ventilators, etc., got created in record time of 3 months. As a matter of fact, I personally worked with many startups during this period. And one of my startups actually worked and created a ventilator in 3 months, a high-flow oxygen machine in about 4.5 months. Then another startup that I worked with created a decontamination chamber for masks. And the latest startup of mine with whom I've worked has created a most amazing product, which is called COVID attenuation machine. That is, if you actually install a COVID attenuation machine in your office, then only those people who have COVID will not be able to affect others who do not have COVID. So it is world's first product of its kind, and these are the kind of innovations India has done during COVID times. I can confidently say that startups are going to play a significant role in making India totally self-sufficient, which is what we are calling in India Atmanirbhar, that is depending on ourselves. But our self-sufficiency is not around being not part of global ecosystem of supply chain. We want to be definitely part of the global supply chain, but we want to create a lot of our own products and manufacture them in the country. And we are very keen to partner with Canada in many, many ways, where Canadian investors can come and participate and invest into Indian startups. Canadian startups can look at India as a market and we can help them. And Indian startups can then move to Canada also to market and support their products and take such unique products also to Canada. So I would like to encourage startups, investors, incubators, and all key stakeholders from Canada to actively participate in our summit being held virtually during 15th and 16th of January, and to interact with the best minds of the global entrepreneurial ecosystem. Lots of countries are participating in this. Many startups and incubators in India and students in India are participating. And we have a very large showcase also. So I think those details Startup India will also be talking about. So I would encourage a lot of you to please look at registering for this at www.theprarambh.in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajay sir. Thank you for your insightful comments. I would now like to request Mr. Manish Kumar from Startup India team to give his presentation on the summit.
Thank you, Ashwita. Good evening to all the viewers from India, and good morning to all the viewers watching us from Canada. And also, thank you, Martin, for your for outlining and inspiring journey of your entrepreneurship and innovation. And thank you, Ajay sir, for outlaying beautiful insights about Indian startup ecosystem. Today, I will be briefly talking about the Startup India initiative, majorly focusing on the Startup India International Summit, Prarambh. I'll just take a moment to pull out my PPT. All right. I hope my presentation is visible to everyone. Uh, so, as you all know, Startup India is the flagship initiative of the Government of India, launched by Honorable Prime Minister in 2016 to build an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship in the nation. We work on three key pillars. Firstly, reducing compliance burden on the startups. Secondly, providing access to capital and access to market to startups. And thirdly, looking at the collaborations between industries, academia, as well as entrepreneurs and innovators. As Ajay sir very well explained about the progress the Indian startup ecosystem has made in all these years, I would like to reiterate them again. The landscape of the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, has changed over the past 4.5 years since the launch of this initiative, that is Startup India. And I'm so happy to see that, unlike 4 years back when majority of startups used to come from top 3 metro cities, today 45% of these startups are now coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? In fact, we are very close to the vision of Honorable Prime Ministers to have a startup in every district in India, that is small areas in India. As of date, we have covered almost 75% of these districts from where at least one startup is coming. India is still being a very young country. The average age of founders is 31 years. And on average, every startup is creating at least 12 jobs on average. Moreover, the indirect impact is quite higher uh, than these direct jobs. As per a report by NASSCOM, it says that the catalyzing effect of the direct jobs is at least 3x on that of the indirect jobs. Today, we have more than 40,000 startups recognized by the Ministry of Commerce, spread across more than 200 subsectors. When we started back in 2016, there were only 4 states which had a dedicated startup policy. But today, I'm happy to see that there are 30 states and union territories in India with a dedicated policy to support all the entrepreneurs from their region. We talked about how the landscape has changed in the last slide. Now, let me briefly tell you what actually qualifies as a startup. So, the definition of startups has evolved ever since 2016 to suit the needs of the ecosystem. As per the latest definition notified on February 2019, any company which is incorporated either as a private limited liability partnership, that is an LLP, or a registered partnership can qualify to apply for recognition benefits. The entity should be no more than 10 years old since the date of incorporation, and the revenue should not exceed INR, that is Indian rupees, 1000 crores in any fiscal year. Of course, being the nature of startup, we expect the startup to be working towards innovation, scalability of products, improvement of the products and processes, and creating wealth and jobs, not only for themselves, but also for the nation. So how do you apply to get recognized as a startup by the Startup India or the Government of India? It's a fairly simple process, and it's completely digital. All a startup has to do, all a startup registering in India has to do, is to go to www.startupindia.gov.in, as the link you can see on the screen, and fill an online application form. and upload some documents. This process is fairly simple. It takes around 15 to 20 minutes, wherein we ask you details on your founders and the team, details about your entity, details about your business model, wherein we try to see about the innovative way you are producing products or the services you're making, and also some IP details or the patent details if you have any. Once you're done submitting your application, which takes only 15 to 20 minutes, the application goes to the evaluation stage, where the Startup India team takes around 24 to 48 hours to either let you know whether the application is complete or incomplete, or if it is complete, within 24 to 48 hours only, they'll give you a approved application, which is a recognition with the Startup India as a startup in India. Now coming to the talk of the hour, that is the Startup India International Summit Prarambh. The name is a Hindi term which implies an auspicious start. The Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, is hosting the Startup India International Summit on January 15th and 16th of 2021, aiming to bring India's entrepreneurial force into the global map. The summit is expected to bring together top policymakers, industries, academia, investors, startups, and all other stakeholders from across the globe, and celebrate 5 years of launch of Startup India initiative. The 2-day long virtual summit will bring together over 200 marquee speakers from across 25 countries to facilitate discussions on innovation, emerging technologies, policies, initiatives, and enable governments and international organizations to share their views on how global problems can be solved through innovation. The summit is designed to showcase the spread and depth of entrepreneurship based on innovation in India. So the idea here is to gain the attention of global capital for startups in India, mobilize domestic capital, provide opportunities for accessing international markets to our startups, and evolve enabling policy provisions. As well as, we do hope this goes hand in hand with our goal of becoming a nation of job creators as opposed to job seekers. And we also look forward to all our stakeholders and partners from Canada to become a part of this 2-day summit. So the key highlight of this summit is that there'll be multiple of sessions, some of them being some start talks, sessions with unicorns in India. There will also be closed door sessions with corporate and investors. These are basically some pitching sessions for the startups. And also there are sessions on social innovation and women entrepreneurs, apart from many others. So the summit is to be inaugurated by the Honorable CIM, Sri Piyush Goyal ji. Moreover, dignitaries from other BIMSTEC nations are to address the gathering and talk about improving international collaboration. Well, the GLAN plenary will conclude the summit, and the session is likely to be graced by the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. And we do see some key announcements to be made by the Honorable Prime Minister to provide huge impetus to the startup ecosystem. That's all from my side. I do look forward to seeing all our stakeholders from Canada at the event as well. The summit is on January 15th and 16th of this month, and you can register yourself on the website www.theprarambh.in. Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. Thank you for giving us details on the summit. I will now request Ms. Neha Bell, CEO at Toronto Business Development Center, to give her address.
Hello, everyone. Good morning from Toronto, and very good evening to everybody who's joined us from India. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present here as well for one of the largest ecosystems in the world, and looking at India-Canada relationships and the opportunities that Indian startups can have in Canada, broadly North America, and also how we can take Canadian startups back to India as well as a market to look at as well. I would like to share a couple of programs that Canada offers for North American market access as well, where the agenda has always been, how do you reach your next market, which is North America or the US. So give me a moment, I'll share my screen and we'll talk about the program. So here we are. To just update you, we also officially work with Startup India as well as one of the partners, and we'll tell you more about Toronto Business Development Center as I proceed in my presentation. But yes, just to flag it out, I'm an Indian. I have worked in Indian ecosystem, Indian startup ecosystem for a long time as well, and on this side of the world, looking at more and more opportunities for Indian startups, for Canadian startups back in India as well. So this is Toronto. I think Martin has talked about it a lot, and we know the history between India, Canada trade, and what kind of innovation is happening in both ecosystems and how we can collaborate as well. This is us. We are the first business incubator established by the City of Toronto and Province of Ontario in 1990. I think that's when we didn't have the word startup. So we were always called a business incubator. We are a nonprofit and government funded incubator, and we look at, we've helped around more than 9,000 entrepreneurs over the years, where it was always about go to market and always about scaling those startups. The program that I want to talk about is the Startup Visa program, which is intended to attract international entrepreneurs who wish to not just establish, but scale their businesses in Canada, or I'd say through Canada. And Canada becomes like the startup destination for North America, given a ton of reasons, including the talent, including the technology available, and also proximity to your favorite market, which is US. So within the Startup Visa program, there are designated organizations by the federal government who are eligible to run this program. This is basically a tool for international entrepreneurs to have a foot on the ground here in North America and be able to scale to their next market. So the three tracks within the designated organizations are venture capital funds, angel investors, and business incubators. Yes, we fall under the business incubation track, and venture capital and angel groups, as you know, they're investing partners as well. They have to invest a certain amount of capital in the startup to invite them under the Startup Visa program. So I'll not go through it in detail. Happy to share the presentation with the entrepreneurs attending as well. But this is basically, the mandate around what do you need to be able to be eligible for the program here as well. And this is given, you might have a Indian entity, a Singapore entity, a US entity. So we assess the business overall and how is it relevant to Canadian, North American, and US market. So this is what we look for, and obviously we know India is our most closest, or I'd say most dear market to us, because it is one of the biggest market as well. Ajay, thank you so much for sharing so much about the ecosystem and how it has grown over the years. So what we look at is, yes, innovative businesses, a strong founding team, and the startups and scale-ups who already have market validation, which means it doesn't really matter you have customers in North American or US market or not, but market validation in terms of you have paying customers. So you already have done that, the launch for your home market, and obviously a strong founding team in the sense that there is the skill set and there is the experience to launch in a new market as well. When we talk about innovative businesses, it's really looking at solutions where the product or the solution that you're offering is addressing a significantly bigger size of the market globally. So this is what we offer as an incubator under the program. We offer a 6 months program. Like I said, we work with mature startups who already have market validation. So we don't take, as an incubator, we don't take equity at this point in time. So we made it a paid program. It is in and out. You can use the the soft landing spot. You can use our advisory and to commercialize your business in this market as well. And that's how we look to partner with even Canadian peers to help that happen for businesses from India and for that matter, all over the world. This is our track record for the last year. We got over 900 applications. We approved 60 startups, and I am very happy to tell you that 40% of them are Indian startups. And I'll talk about a few of them that are coming from India, and a couple of them are scale-ups as well. And just given the geographies that we cater to, we have started from India, China, UK, US, Iran, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Hong Kong, Pakistan. You say it and we have it. Russia, for that matter. So we have a ton of traction on the program as well. This is pretty much what the selection process looks like. We take anywhere between 5 to 6 weeks to approve you, to assess your business. And it is pretty much not early business 101 assessments. It is pretty high level business assessments, which give the entrepreneurs the opportunity to bring together their founding team as well. Maybe a part of their founding team wants to move. Maybe the management team wants to move and set up here and scale the businesses here. So and to candidly say that we are building this ecosystem as an alternative for the foot on the ground for the US ecosystem as well. So there are a ton of scale-ups and startups who are sitting out of US, who are looking at Canada as their landing spot, as their base, as creating their headquarters in this market. Moving on. So what really happens is designated organizations are just business groups like us, and they decide what kind of startups, what kind of scale-ups they want to assess, depending on, some of them are specific to the industry, some of them are specific to the technology they want to look at. So there are a couple of ways that this program helps founders. So founders also get, they can get work permits to come to Canada, which could be extended depending on how long do you want to be here. And this also entails permanent residency in Canada. And that's an opt-in, opt-out, because then it means under the program, the mandate is that the company actually also incorporates in Ontario, in Canada, and that's where you also becomes home for you, and you can access a lot of infrastructure and support from the government institutions as well. So this is pretty much what we give you under the program, which is a 6 months program. Anything starting from one-on-one business advisory to access to talent, access to capital, and also founder development. So access to talent and access to capital is and also business advisory is also spread between the two markets, which is Canada and US. So these are some of the tangible offerings that we have, including anything that an incubator provides you from, starting from, office space, starting from business services, standard business services, and partner services, including bookkeeping, legal, accounting. What else do you need to go to a new market and set up your company? And within the program, you get a dedicated program manager, who pretty much designs the monthly advisory calendar for you. We match mentors from this ecosystem to the startups, depending on their stage, depending on their needs, depending on the industry they're working in, and help them grow and establish in this ecosystem. These are some of our peers here as well, that are incubators, that are investors. So our aim is not to trap you in Toronto or in Ontario for that matter. Our aim is to bring maximum value to these startups, these innovative solutions and products, and we will help them transition into various communities and various innovation corridors where they get maximum value out of it. So, I mean, we have peer incubators who work with us. Our biggest provincial incubator is Mars. If anybody knows more about Canadian ecosystem as well, we have the investing partners, we have other partners, including banking or accounting or marketing. We have event partners as well. And just reiterating on Martin's experience with OCE as well, we partnered with OCE as a nonprofit, as a government funded organization as well, and we work with them where together we work on supporting foreign entrepreneurs to do business development in Ontario. And the aim is to transition these innovative businesses to relevant innovation corridors as well, where they will bloom and scale and set up their headquarters as well. So these are some of the highlights we have from the from the ecosystem that we have. This is all a mix. A few of them are from India here. One of the biggest, one of the scale-ups from India that we are bringing in is Zaggle. It's recently been recognized by Economic Times Awards as well, and they have a great presence in the Indian ecosystem. So they're looking at North American access with us as well, North American and US access. The other big one from the Indian ecosystem is VideoTab. The former CEO of CNN IBN, who's doing his own startup, which is related to video experience, and so many others. So I won't take too much time. I'm happy to answer any questions here, but we'll be more than happy to share our presentation, and more than happy to look at individual entrepreneurs who want to get in touch with us and explore this program and many other programs that we can enable, and also looking at Canadian entrepreneurs to actually go to the Indian market, and how we can develop those partnerships where those kind of stakeholders in India can help them navigate the Indian market as a test market, as their next market to do business development. So thank you so much for having me, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Neha. Thank you for giving us details on the programs. I'm sure the participants here will like to register to these programs. I would like to take some questions now from our entrepreneurs. So firstly, to you, Martin, do you think there are barriers to onboarding automotive companies like GM and Ford as customers for early startups?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question for a second? I had a hard time hearing you for a moment.
Yeah, so do you think that there are barriers to onboarding automotive companies like GM and Ford as customers for early startups?
No, I think that it's just understanding the value proposition that you would be bringing to the automotive sector. For example, in a lot of discussions that one of the companies that I'm doing some business development with has targeted some specific needs of the automotive sector when it has to do with making many of the automotive parts more recyclable. And that is something that's being looked at very heavily. So if the parts can be more recyclable, it reduces the overall life cycle cost assessment, life cycle environmental assessment of the vehicle, which a lot of the automotive manufacturers are looking at working on. So I don't think the barriers, I don't think there are significant barriers that exist when it comes to your value proposition. It's making sure that you get in to speak with the right people and make that presentation. And I think that that's a lot of what is a lot of the assistance that can be offered here in Canada for that.
Okay, thanks. I think that answers the question. Next query is for Ajay sir, and if Neha also you can pitch in. So Ajay sir, to you, what are the key sectors that the Canadian startups can look into while exploring the Indian ecosystem, and vice versa for Neha, to you, what are the key sectors that the Indian startups can look for while pitching in for Canadian ecosystem?
Well, India is pretty open. I mean, you can pitch for pretty much any sector that you have capability in. And today, the big growth sectors in India are health and clean tech. These are two very big ones. And there's a huge momentum towards those. India has also opened up the space sector totally. And therefore, if you have any space startups that want to work on in India, those are also very interesting opportunities. Electric vehicles is a huge area for India because of the whole idea of clean technology being used. So major incentives are available for people to come and set up here and create EVs. Recently, the government of India has also announced special programs which are called production-linked incentive programs for close to 8 or 10 major industries in India. And the largest program has been created for electronics. So electronics, if you want to manufacture or design in India and have a large market in India, and also create India as a base for exports into the Middle East and Europe, then those are the kind of opportunities that are there in India today for people to come and set up here. So pretty much the whole space is available, but these are some of the interesting sectors. Fintech is growing very fast in the last 5 to 10 years. And one very interesting area that has happened in India is that India is pretty much far ahead of the rest of the world in terms of, having identity. And therefore, our identity program is very strong. And on top of the identity program, there are a series of stacks that have been created, which are called India Stack. And these India stacks can be exceedingly valuable for any startup who wants to come and create market in India by using these stacks to create apps around it for the Indian market. So that would be a huge opportunity. And then a new stack that is now being developed is the health stack. And around that, again, huge opportunities exist for all kinds of solutions like telemedicine and medical devices, etc., which Canada is very strong in medical devices. So there could be large opportunities for Canadian companies to look at India as a market and do some joint development for even the developing markets. And I think the other areas where new policies have come around are in drones. So we have a drone policy now also there, which is now available for people to exploit. So a lot of new drone application companies are coming up in India, which are using drones to do all kinds of work for corporates. And therefore, there's a huge amount of, opening up of the country in terms of opportunities.
Thank you, Ajay sir. I think I completely resonate with that, and those are the high trend sectors in Canada as well, including healthcare, including auto as well, and obviously we've become kind of at this, and on this side of the world at least, we've become the AI hub, and that's the kind of talent Canada is producing as well. So there is a lot of opportunity. I mean, we definitely see Canadian companies wanting to land in that market, and that's where we want to enable not just delegations, not just talks on the table, but actual execution partners who would help those companies do it. And the similar formats that we are trying to maintain here, which is enabling Indian startups in North America and US as well. So I think yes, fintech, healthcare, clean tech, auto are the top ones. But yes, we're open for almost any sector that brings innovation for us. And it's been deep tech, biotech, life sciences kind of startups as well. I mean, just given the the status of the ecosystem as well, it's literally like if you have an AI startup and you're looking to move a part of your R&D, given the North American and US customer to Canada, you can avail 80% write-offs on the resources you employ. So those are, I mean, that's just top of mind. There are tons of government programs, there are tons of government grants that are available for clean tech, for auto, and for AI startups as well. So this is definitely somewhere we want to collaborate and see how we can. I mean, for me, it's going back home and enabling that ecosystem and creating that kind of a soft landing spots here as well, and just looking forward to make it really scalable model where people don't have to look for how would they get to the U.S. market, how would they get to North American market, and just in and out where you are just in this market and all alone and you have to figure out what you do next, including go get a lawyer for doing your incorporation. So we want to create those services together and also help these startups do actual business development and fundraising in this ecosystem as well. So yeah, the long answer to the short question is absolutely open for business, absolutely open for innovation to come to Canada and to go from Canada to India as well.
Thank you, Neha. Thanks. I think that answers the question. So I think with this, we close the questions. We can take up further questions. You can post on the YouTube comment box, and we can take these questions up later. With this, I would like to close the session. I would like to thank Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, founder HCL and chairman FICCI Startup Committee, for joining us today. Mr. Martin Rogue on giving his insights on the Canadian ecosystem for startups, and Ms. Neha Bell, President and CEO at Toronto Business Development Center, for giving her insights on the programs available for the Indian and Canadian ecosystem. Um, on behalf of FICCI, I would like to thank the participants that have joined us today for the Canada Virtual Roadshow. I would also like to thank the Startup India representative Manish for giving us the presentation on the summit and sharing insights on that. I'm happy to share with you all that over the last decade, FICCI has played an important role in fostering the Indian innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in the country. FICCI is currently implementing 14 plus national and global programs through public-private partnerships, providing funding, business development, mentoring, and capacity building support to Indian startups. Since 2007, FICCI has supported close to 1,000 plus startups, and we have provided a funding of up to INR 125 CR, as well as enabled external funding of close to 500 plus CR. Recently, we have launched the FICCI for Startup initiative, which has been launched as an extension of our work and strengthens our commitment to support the Indian startups and the ecosystem. Through the FICCI Startup membership, we are providing an extensive benefit package connecting with FICCI corporate members, mentorship by industry experts, and direct connect to the Indian Angel Network, access to soon to be launched the FICCI IN Social Venture Fund, and access to the FICCI Innovation and Startup programs. This also gives you the benefit of joining the exhibition, delegations, conferences at special costs, connecting you to the global investor community, as well as providing you access to the policy advocacy that FICCI actively does on behalf of you. The Indian startups can avail this FICCI Startup membership free of cost till 15 January 2021, and I will encourage and request all participants here to please register yourself and avail these benefits. FICCI is proud to partner with DPIIT and Startup India for the virtual Prarambh India International Summit, and we look forward to and encourage the maximum participation from Indian startups looking to scale within the country as well as globally during the summit. I would once again like to thank everyone for joining us here today, and look forward to interacting with the participants soon on the Prarambh Summit. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya.
Bye.